Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wellington branch of the Theosophical Society this evening. We start with a moment's silence, giving you an invocation to unity, then I'll introduce the society, and then I'll introduce our presenter this evening. We'll just have a moment's silence, please. Please repeat after me. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom.
O hidden light, vibrant in every atom.
O hidden light, shining in every creature.
O hidden light, shining in every creature.
O hidden love, embracing all in oneness.
O hidden love, embracing all in oneness.
May each who feels himself as one with thee.
May each who feel themselves as one with thee.
Know they're also one with every other.
Know they are also one with every other.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you. So, the Theosophical Society has a great purpose, which is to create the nucleus of a new society, society of divine wisdom, where its members have a recognition of the unity of all life, where we don't make distinctions of culture, gender, or ethnicity, but rather emphasize that unity in consciousness. Help create the nucleus of that new society. We encourage to study comparative religion, philosophy, and science, and the investigation into the unexplained laws of nature and the powers that relate to each one of us. Namely, that the human being is more than just flesh and blood. Now, our president founder, Colonel Olcott, said we're all students inquiring into the nature of reality. So we're all here together on a spiritual quest, supporting each other. Now, there are no authority figures, no dogmas or creeds in the Theosophical Society, and you are free to accept what you hear from the platform. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Sushma Webber, who is a fourth generation Theosophist. She's worked at the international headquarters in Adyar, Chennai, in the editorial office. She has been our local branch president here in the Lodge, as well as secretary. She's also worked for the New Zealand section as national media coordinator. Sushma's talk this evening is going to talk about her experiences on her Indian pilgrimage, and she has lots of great information to share. So, Sushma, over to you.
Thank you, Simon. Good evening, everyone. The topic today that I selected was Bhakti Path, my glimpses into my pilgrimage in India that I had recently. So, first of all, I have two things to show you. One is a video. We'll start with the video because then it will give you an idea of what I went through just a little bit. And then I will show you all the still photographs of 40 days that I went on this pilgrimage in the months of June, end of June to July and August. Okay, first I'll share the video with you, which is from all the little clips that I took. So first, let me remember to share for the online people. I'll just do a check. Those online, please let me know if you can hear the sound when I start playing this.
Yes.
Thank you. traffic jam in a village and they were dancing. This is how we spend our time. Look, all the streets are blocked.
Can I go, Sushma?
Out of the 20 days, one of those days. I'll have to look at my camera. No, this was in the middle. This is how we rest when we walk like 6 or 7 kilometers. So they're all resting. So some of them are dancing and singing. The others are walking. There was also a group of visually impaired people on this 250-kilometer walk. And this was on my 50th birthday here on the left. And this was our goal, this river and the temple next to it. Okay, so now let me share the PowerPoint. Okay, so coming to, can everyone see online this presentation? The first slide?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Because once I did a whole talk and no one on the online saw my presentation, and I had spent 8 hours putting it together. So I was heartbroken. I'm not making that mistake again. So today I have the pleasure of sharing with you my my quest for the bhaktas in India. As you all know, India is very well known for its devotion to God, and you will see it all over India. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, which religion you belong to, all of them are devoted. So I wanted to be surrounded by people who were totally devoted, and I didn't expect 500,000 of them. So that was the number of people I walked with. Actually, it ended up being 800,000, which is 8 lakhs in India. We call it 8 lakhs in India. However, it's 800,000 here. It's done by the farmers every year. This is the most popular and the largest group of people every year for the last 750 years. And it's the farmers. So this time they had good rains. They were able to sow the seeds they wanted to. So they were free sooner. So 800,000 people decided we'll go on this walk. But they were all not all on my route. There are 2 or 3 other routes and many other groups from different parts of India who come. So this is the largest. There are 2 main routes. So I'll show you where I went. Before we go there, this is a picture of, this was one of my goals as a member of the Theosophical Society and a history buff. The top is, you will see the crest of the king of Kashi or Varanasi. And they have a motto called Satyam Nasti Paro Dharmaha, which is actually the motto of the Theosophical Society. And it became that because H.P. Blavatsky visited this palace and she saw that it was, on the wall, on the top of the door. And then she asked what it was, and he said what it is. So the motto is there is no religion higher than truth. So she asked, can we please use it for the Theosophical Society? He said, of course, it's everybody's because it's in the Mahabharata. So it had been my dream to go see this and see if it was still there. And when I went to the palace, it's a very big area, it's lots of buildings around. And I asked the ticket collector, where is it? He said, madam, it is all gone now because the gateway was kind of, almost crashing down, a big gateway. Anyway, he said, go see it. The monogram is on a car, an old car in the museum. I couldn't see it. So I was quite disappointed when I entered. Then I just went around looking at the museum, and then suddenly I looked up, I saw this. So my dream came true. So that's why this is on the first slide. This was another of my goals, to do this pilgrimage, to see this spot and find the motto. So again, that's why I said this is inspired by the founders of the Theosophical Society, my trip. I tried to go to some of the main places they had been. So I'll share that with you later on in my presentation. So this is Helena Petrovna Blavatsky and Henry Steele Olcott, who were the principal founders of the society in 1875. And this is my grandparents who first introduced me to Theosophy. This is on my mother's side. My grandma and I used to work at Adyar. So that's the headquarters building with the elephants on it. And that's my grandfather and grandmother. His name was Mr. Guru Lingaya, and she was Kamalama Guru. And we have some shrines of the different religions of the world. Another part of my pilgrimage was to actually visit some of the centers and pilgrimage centers of other religions. Usually when someone goes on a pilgrimage of a particular religion, they just stick to their own one. However, I thought, having had the influence of the Theosophical Society, I would try and visit some of the other religions as well. And these are some of the shrines and temples in Adyar. So the top left is the Zoroastrian temple. The top middle is the Sikh shrine. That's the Christian Liberal Catholic Church. And then there's the Temple of Light. And then there is the Buddhist temple. And all this is in our international headquarters. And I have been seeing that since I was a kid when I used to attend the international conventions. And this is our beloved lodge here, Wellington Theosophical Society, which was established in 1888. And that is a photo of an event we had where there were members from 8 lodges around the country who attended one of our Foundation Day events. So I thought, this is my Theosophical family in New Zealand. And I went to visit my Theosophical family in India. So there are 3, my pilgrimage was in 3 phases, it was a 3-fold pilgrimage. So the first one was the Pandharpur Wari. Wari means regular. So they do it every year. And there is a particular community called the Varkari community. They take an initiation into this tradition, and they are supposed to live in a certain way, and they're also supposed to do this pilgrimage every year, and they have 4 choices in the year, different periods, and this is the most popular one. Like I said, the farmers would have finished sowing the seeds and there are a little bit more time for them, and they don't all have to do 21 days. They can choose 3 days, 2 days, 5 days, not 2 days. It's always in odd numbers. So it's up to them how much they can do, but they have to do it every year. And then some of the pilgrimage of centers of other religions. And I also visited some of my favorite saints and sages and places that were significant to them. And then the Theosophical Society in India. And the history of India and the history of the Theosophical Society are quite interwoven, as you can see. So I'll share that with you next week. So here is the route we walked. This is the Pandharpur Wari from Alandi to Pandharpur. As I said, there are 2 main routes. This is the Alandi one. So that's the top left. That's where Alandi is. We started off from there, and it's a very organized and fixed route. So everybody stops in the same towns and villages. So those are all the stops, as you can see. And in some places you get 2 days, 3 days. 2 days to recover, because you would have walked like 29, 30 kilometers, or probably it was 42, but we were told 32. Officially it's 32. And then you have to walk from your venue to the other venue. So you don't know how far that is. So it's like, saying Wellington Central, Porirua to Wellington is this much, but then you had to get to Town or Island Bay. That's how it was. So I think it was more than 250 kilometers, if you ask me. Anyway, I felt sick after the very first 29-kilometer walk, and it wasn't because of the walk. I ate something outside. I had food poisoning, so I was very sick. So the next day I had to take the truck, and it happened to be the most difficult stretch, which was at 32 kilometers up and down the mountains. So I didn't do that. Well, it was, later on one lady said, "Oh, did you do that stretch?" I said, "No." And then whatever you did was useless. And I'd already walked 200 kilometers by then. I'm like, oh my God, I missed the main one. That's okay. There's no need to be egoistic. I had to do 40 days, not 20 days. So I said, okay, no problem. God is taking care of me. So we did that walk from Alandi to Pandharpur, and see the people. Can you see all those white dots? That's all people, because they wear those white hats. You can see them right at I took this photo like this. After all, I'm too short. I couldn't take very, photos from an elevation. So that's what I managed to take. So on this walk, you can set out by yourself and take care of yourself, or you can join a group which is called a Dindi. And I joined the Sant Vichar Prabodhini. And as you can see, top left, we were the people who ended up traveling together after the third or fourth day. We all found each other. So this group was a mixed group from age 25 to age 80. So we were the middle agers, 3 or 4 of us. And yeah. So yeah. So one of you, please, everybody mute your cameras. Anyway, so, and then we had and every evening we had to recite from a text by the Saint Sant Gyaneshwar. And that's part of the tradition. So you don't get dinner if you don't chant. Someone made a joke out of that. So no dinner without chanting. So every day around 5:30, we used to have this chanting for around 20 minutes. And then there would be discourses. And that's the people sitting in a discourse at one of the venues we stayed. And that was an onion warehouse. That's where they store onions. So we stayed there. So there were no walls. So all open. Ours had the most wall. The rest were barbed wire, go-downs and warehouses. So that was interesting. And that particular town is famous for its onions. So the top left, again, some glimpses of the, where we stayed and what happened on the way. I think I got food poisoning after that event on the thing because I ate something prepared by someone outside. The food I ate with my group was great. I didn't fall sick with that. So so that's where we stayed the first time. That's Alandi. We have marriage halls in India, or event places, big halls like this. It was 2 times this size. And we all just slept in rows. By the way, some people went to the temple overnight and they came back very late. So there was no place. So there were like 3 people sleeping around me and they kicked me throughout the night. The first night I was getting kicked. So I kept waking up. So yeah, so that day was that was my first experience. After that, I was very clear where I put my bag so that no one kicked me after that in their sleep. So all these things happen. And then that's the first day we had a break. As you saw in the video, we left early in the morning at 5 o'clock. This was around 7:30. As you can see, I'm not tanned yet. So the people were all just resting at some place over there. So I thought I'll take a photo with all those people behind me. And then my mother asked me, how do they dry the saris? Because as you saw, all the women are wearing these long, 5.5-meter cloths wrapped around them. How would you dry it? So see there, they have put it out on the hillside to dry. So that's one of the examples. At other places, two women would hold the saris at two ends, two saris, and it would be blowing in the wind and drying in 10 minutes. It would be dry. So it was quite interesting. So finally, we reached Pandharpur. The tradition is you have to look at the top, the spire. There is a kalash at the top. By the way, that's not the one. This was some other temple within the complex. The main one was a little more further. I thought I'd already seen it, but I hadn't. But it's the same temple. And then this was a photo I took from the top. We were going into the temple. There was a sort of, you had to go up like that floor, and I could see all these people below. So I thought I'll take a photo of that. So people go around the temple. So now we come to the pilgrimage centers and saints of different religions and traditions. I missed out a few, but I'll share with you whatever I have put here on the slides. Well, the secret to my pilgrimage is, how did I plan my pilgrimage? I waited for different signs. So the left one is the temple of Brahma. In India we have Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the three gods, the creator, maintainer, and destroyer. So I managed to go to the main centers of all three, and that was again very serendipitously. I didn't even know the Brahma temple was in Pushkar. I was on the phone and my mother rang, and I was chatting with somebody, a member from Bombay, Arni Narendran, on my phone. And he was in Kenya. He's probably still is there. I don't know. And I tried to answer my mother, and suddenly I was talking to him. And then I told him about this pilgrimage. He said, "Oh, aren't you going to Pushkar?" I said, "Why should I go there?" He said, "That's where the only temple to Brahma is, traditionally. Brahma is only supposed to have one temple. He did something naughty and some God cursed him. You can't have a temple anywhere else." So I managed to go to that one too. It's a beautiful place. I'll show you some pictures. Then Varanasi is the center for Shiva. And then I went to Mathura and Vrindavan, which is the center for Krishna. As you've all been studying the last few weeks on the self-transformation, the Bhagavad Gita. So the Krishna center is Mathura, where he was born. So here is another accident, so-called. This is Ma Anandmayi. One day I was just sitting around doing nothing, and then I thought, oh, I wonder what Ma Anandmayi, who she is. I'd long ago seen a video. So I looked her up, and then I looked up her website. And I have always wanted to go to this particular river. It's the largest river, and with the most holy sites on its banks. And it has its own pilgrimage of 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers, which takes minimum 6 months. Some people do it over 3 years. You can take as long as you like. That's how large that river is, and very, very long. So I'd always wanted to visit it. I thought I can't make it this time because I didn't know where it was and I wasn't passing through it. Suddenly, for some reason, when my brother was helping me book the tickets, I ended up having to go to what was called Baroda. Today it's Vadodara. And then I find out that her ashram is like 1 hour away on the banks of the river. Like, wow, this is a sign. So I organized a visit to that place. It was amazing. That's one of the shrines on the land property. And she founded the ashram where many sages had meditated over centuries. And that's what's on my phone as a screensaver. There's a tree under which all of them meditated. So that's my screensaver. So that's Ma Anandmayi. She was a great lady as well. And then I went to Ajmer from there. It's in Rajasthan, and that's a Sufi center. It was I think the Sufi of that place moved from Delhi when there was a lot of political disturbance up there. They all moved south, so that person settled here. This is one of the mosques or Islamic centers that all people of all religions go to. So if they have any desire to be fulfilled, they all go there. to pray, of people of all religions. So it's quite, I was quite interested to see how that works. So yeah, so I went. See, I'm also holding a little offering with roses and some, incense sticks and some sweet and things like that. Well, the trick is that to keep you can't go into any of these places with your shoes on. So you have to find a place to leave your shoes. There's nothing anywhere available. You have to just leave it on the street. So you can't do it. Someone will take it away. So what you do, the shops fellow says, "Come, madam, leave your bag and shoes here," and then you have to buy this. So I ended up buying this offering. So then I got, everywhere I went, I asked somebody standing nearby, "Please take a photo." So I got some stranger to take this photo of mine. So that's where it is. And this is a historic place, because even King Akbar and his wife went walking from Delhi to Ajmer to pray for a baby. So that's what happened. So it's a 15th century place. So it's an ancient place. Then I went to Pushkar from there. It's only half an hour away from Ajmer. So it's not too far, in this beautiful, beautiful lakes over there. And oh my God, it's a tourist place. I think one of you is planning, or some of you are planning to go to India. If you go there, it's a very touristic place. All the clothes are all in Western design. I'm like, what is this? All Indian material, but in Western design, beautiful clothes and things and crystals. It's a heaven for all the people who are new age spirituals. So it was great place. And guess what? Everywhere I go, some big event is happening. Okay, so I went on Guru Purnima, which is the full moon of the day of Buddha's enlightenment. And the place was flooded. People had come from Gujarat and here, there, everywhere. The bus was full. I couldn't get onto the bus first of all from Ajmer. I had to wait several buses, push and pull, and finally someone said, "Madam, you get in here. I will organize things." And one lady helped me out. So then I went to. It was only half an hour, but it was difficult. And then when I arrived there, again the streets were flooded with people, with all of them going to the banks of this Pushkar lake, because you have to dip into the lake on Guru Purnima day. And then there was a Sikh Gurudwara there, which was very significant in the Sikh tradition. Two of the gurus had stayed there. And then suddenly I come across the South Indian temples. That was quite interesting, because the design of the North Indian temples are quite different. And I saw this and I'm like, what is this South Indian temple doing here? So it was like the Tirupati Balaji temple. It is a kind of similar one. Those of you who know Tirupati, that's the wealthiest, most popular temple in South India. And then I went to the Golden Temple in Amritsar. That's the main center for the Sikhs. It's called Harmandir Sahib. They don't call it the Golden Temple. It's the Harmandir Sahib, and that's the Sarovar. That means a holy lake. So you don't swim in it and jump around and all that. It's very preserved with a lot of care. It's Golden Temple because it's plated with gold. As you can see, the whole yellow part. That was done much later. But yeah, that's the Golden Temple. And it's so beautiful. I was so moved. As soon as you enter this gateway and you see this, I was in tears. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And then there was, they have this tradition of the kitchen where every devotee is served food for free. So you make a donation whenever you go. So you have, if you go to the one in 9, make sure you take a donation of a bag of rice or dal or lentils. You have to take a donation so the food can be served. So that's where I'm sitting there. I had to remove this nice Sikh man because of, I didn't get his permission to put it in my photo video on YouTube. So that's only me there. I went to have lunch there. It was just beautiful. Thousands of people are fed. And if you look at the time of COVID, so many people got food in these Sikh Gurudwaras and Indian ISKCON temples and all these places in America, not just in India, everywhere around the world, they were all fed. But this goes on every day. There are so many temples in India where this offering of food is given to people, because an offering from the god, it's holy for us. So we all have to actually eat there. So that was really interesting. That was another dream of mine, to go and have the food in the kitchen there. And they have a museum in the Sikh Gurudwara. There's the Sikh museum with the whole history of it. Now, the thing is, they don't let you take photos anywhere. So this is the only photo I was able to take. As soon as I entered, I got a still photo. You're not allowed to take videos or anything. And the Sikh museum as well, the history of the Sikhs is very, very sad and painful. They were very, very brave people. And they showed their bravery even in the world wars. I did a session on the Sikhism for our members. There was a whole, like battalion of Sikhs, and they carried their Guru Granth Sahib, which is their guru. They took that sacred, we don't call it the book, it is the Guru Granth Sahib. So they would carry that through the, the trenches and the war, wherever they went. So the whole Sikh battalion, they proved themselves to be very brave. So I have great admiration for them. So it was my dream to visit the Golden Temple. I think it's time for me to just move on to other planes. My dreams are all fulfilled. I told my brother, he was very concerned. You have made all this trip. Anything can happen in India. The trains can be cancelled. All these things can happen. He was worried. I said, look, forget it. I might not come back. It was Simon as well. So you have to let me go. And then if I come back, great. So then I went to Prayagraj. That was formerly called Allahabad, and that's where 3 rivers are meeting. And guess what? One of the rivers is invisible. So out of the 3, I forgot what the rivers are. One of the people online can tell me. And then guess what? I went to the Allahabad Museum, and I see Annie Besant's photo. There it is. And there she is, female revolutionaries. And I took a photo of me next to all of them too, because I'm one as well. So I didn't put that here. So there was, and then I saw her name, the little circle has moved, but Annie Besant also was instrumental in helping design the flag of India. So there was a whole board of different, the evolution of the Indian flag. So the one in the middle with those, you can see the Union Jack and the stars, and that she designed that because she was working for the home rule of India. So it would sort of be like New Zealand, which is still under the British Queen, right? So she was working that India would also have its independent government, but still be under the British. So that's why that was a flag of the home rule movement. I was so excited when I saw Annie Besant's photo in the museum in Allahabad. And I've heard it's in our parliament as well. So one day I will go see the parliament. I'm coming. So the next step I went to was Varanasi. Now guess what? Prayagraj or Allahabad and Varanasi are like 3-4 hours away. And I was waiting at the railway station, waiting for the announcement of the train. It never came. And after the time, I realized, where is my train? I was in the wrong station. I didn't know. There were 2 or 3 stations in Prayagraj. I didn't know. I'd forgotten. So then I went rushing to the bus station, and then I took the bus. Thankfully, it was only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I managed to get to Varanasi by 8 o'clock. Now that is another sign, folks. If you're going to a spiritual center, be sure there will be obstacles to delay you to getting there. So if any time you think, oh, let me go to the meeting in the Theosophical Society, there'll be a little push away. And if you succumb, you'll say, oh yeah, it is very cold. Let me stay at home today. Or let me go hang out with my friend. All these are obstacles. So when I was going to Varanasi, that's what happened. So I went rushing, and guess what? We have these tuk-tuk drivers, and they will take you to the place they want to go. So they took me to the, he said, he was going right in the right direction. Then he says, oh, too much traffic. He turned to another street and he dropped me off at the back of the bus stop. And then I'm rushing with all my luggage. I had to rush, and the bus was just leaving and it was in the front. I'm like, man, Varanasi, Shiva, you're making me work too much. So then I had to rush to the front of the bus station, and thankfully the bus was there, and it was an AC bus, so I survived it. Then I went to Varanasi by bus. I was meant to go by train in the comfort of the AC compartment. And I would have reached at least 2 hours early or 1 hour early. And then in Varanasi, I took and it was so loud where the bus station was, that the auto fellow didn't hear what I said. He heard what the name of the area. He said, I know, madam. And then I went with him. Everyone else said they didn't know. So I went, and he didn't hear the exact spot I wanted to go. So we went round and round for some time, and then we called someone there and they gave us the directions. So really, Varanasi was an experience. And then we had and the next day, I met 2 of our members from Bangalore, and they said, oh, we are going to the main temple. This is the Kashi Vishwanath temple. Everyone in India, it is their wish that once in their lifetime, they will go to this Kashi Vishwanath temple and have a dip in the Ganga river. So my 2 friends from Bangalore, from the Theosophical Society over there, suddenly I find people from Bangalore in Varanasi. It was just great. So we woke up at 4 in the morning. Guess what? I'd forgotten I was going with them. I was sleeping, and I heard this knock on the door. They said, aren't you coming? I said, yes, I'm coming. And I went. So it was 4 in the morning. And they both had a proper dip. I only splashed some water on myself. I wasn't going to go and dip there. so that was one of the ghats that I got them to take photo after we finished all the ritual stuff. And then this was they do in the evening, they do the aarti, worship the river. For us, everything is sacred. There is God in everything. So this is one of the most sacred rivers in India. And the British were quite surprised, because it retains its, it doesn't get impure. It doesn't get dirty, whatever you put in it. So they put dead bodies, they put all kinds of things in it. A few kilometers down the river, all gone. It's all back to normal. The cleanliness and the quality of the water is good again. So that's what they found in the British. So it's all magic. Even now, in India, we have a tradition. We have a little pot in our households. So the tradition is, just before you die, if you at least drink, the person who's dying, if someone puts Ganga water in his, into him or her body, they will begin. It's good for them. I'm not sure why, but anyway, that's the tradition. So it has lots of miraculous powers. So this one was another dream of mine, to attend this aarti in the evening. I thought, how am I going to get there? Everywhere you go, first you have to get to a place, then everything is blocked out, so you have to walk from there. So it's all very daunting when you're alone. So anyway, I just ended up there. That's another story. So we will move on. And guess what? When I looked up, I knew Sarnath was nearby to Varanasi. This is where the Buddha gave his first sermon. So he was enlightened in Bodh Gaya, and he walked. Those days, everybody walked. So he went walking in 2 months, and he gave the first sermon in Sarnath. So that was another place I wanted to visit. And so some of the people from the Varanasi study camp that I went to, they had planned a trip, so I went with them. So there they are, 4 of us. By the way, this is just the main structure over there. There are lots of monasteries, and how when buildings are not there anymore, there's just a little little bricks are there in the shapes. There are lots in the front. I didn't put all that here. Oh, and then I went to Ayodhya. So it's a day trip. It's close by. Now this is a very, very important place for me, because this is what triggered this whole wish to do this. because after 500 years, the Hindu people are now able to build a temple in the birthplace of Sri Rama. That's one of our gods. It's one of the incarnations of Vishnu. And it was very, very special for me. Again, I don't read the newspaper or anything. Facebook is my doorway to the news. And 3 days before the consecration of this temple, I learned about it. And then I listened to all these talks by archaeologists, and there is this one person. His name is Jagat Guru Ramachandra, something like that, and he is visually impaired, but he has memorized all these texts. So he gave evidence in the court of India. He gave 400 and something references in different texts that this is where Rama was born. And the judge, who was a Muslim judge, he was so surprised at this person's knowledge. He said, this is amazing. You have divine help here. There's who can memorize all these texts and remember. And he's written so many books as well. So I listened to his interviews and everything, and I wanted to go to this temple. So there guess what? This is the photo again. They take away your mobile phone, they put it in the locker, bags, nothing. So you have to go in the line. So there were no photos on the inside for me. However, I took this photo after I got my photo and my camera and my bags out. That's where we store our bags. That's the only building I got. And then I went to another temple nearby. This is the temple of Hanuman. And you're supposed to visit that as well. So those are all, that's the crowd. And guess what? Again, it was some special time. And all these orange clad people, I think they're called the Shiv Sena people, they all came walking from the villages nearby and towns and villages for 4 or 5 days. They'd been walking. They were all in the Kashi Vishwanath temple. The queue is taking like 2.5 hours or whatever it was. And then guess what? Everywhere I went, it rained on me. Every time I started somewhere, it rained. So there we are. We had like few feet from here to that door to get to the main temple. It poured. Until then, I was under the shelter. It didn't rain. The moment I stepped out, it rained. So that was another thing I noticed. Everywhere it rained. Even on the Pandharpur Wari, we were in Alandi. We reached there, it started raining. So it's a good sign, I believe. So I'm glad I had all those good signs and got wet. So there was Hanuman Gadi, again, lots of people, and this is up on a hill. And in North India, every time you ask a direction, it's here, madam, it's here, madam, only few feet, you have to keep walking. You have to, and all roads lead to the place you're going. And I went like this, and then when I went there, I'm like, people right here. You ask anyone, they'll say, go like this. So they won't give you the shortest route or anything. And even the GPS, I was in Vrindavan, Mathura and Vrindavan. This was the birthplace of Lord Krishna. This is in Mathura. And then this is Vrindavan. I went when the door was closed. They close all the temples at 12 o'clock. I thought I'll go after that. Then there's no crowd on the street. There was nobody except monkeys. And every time I take out my phone to see GPS, madam, put the phone in your bag, the monkey will take it away. And then I put my glasses, madam, go take up your glasses. How am I to see? And the monkey actually took somebody's glasses. It took it away and it was scratching its head like this. So I said, you also won't give me a direction and you won't let me see the GPS. What am I supposed to do? So Vrindavan was full of monkeys. So then I went to this, I decided I would see the two main, ancient temples that are there. So these are the two ancient ones. I think the one on the left is Bake Bihari temple and the one on the right is Madan Raman. I can't remember. They have all these names. Anyway, that's an ancient temple. 15th century is ancient for me, just letting you know. And that 15th century, this structure was built. The temple itself is far more ancient. it was said the grandson of Krishna had built it or something like that. So that you can imagine, that's thousands of years old. So now we come to saints and sages of India that I wanted to visit. I found that 2 or 3 saints were near Varanasi, and I was in Varanasi for 12 days. So that was really good. So I went to Kabir Das, his center over there. How many of you know who is Kabir? Okay, 2 people. Well, we in the Theosophical Society quote him quite a bit, and he's very famous in India as well. He has 3 centers, I found out. So when he died, the Hindus and Muslims were both having an argument. One of them wanted to bury him, the other one wanted to do rituals in their own way. And then they went and opened the curtain. There were only flowers there. So one person, they divided the flowers and took it to 2 different places. And then there was a 3rd place. So I don't know how the 3rd place happened. He was around 120 years old when he passed on. So that was an interesting story. So yeah, I met a person over there. He said, "Madam, do you have time?" I said, "I have all the time in the world." So he told me the whole story of the place. This is where Kabir grew up since he was a child. I think he was found. I can't remember the story. Sorry. He was, I would say, adopted in the sense they found him somewhere. There is a place where they found him as well. So Hindu parents took care of a Muslim boy. So that's how they brought him up in his tradition. But then he is always saying Ram, Ram, Ram all the time. And his guru was also Ram. So his guru was also a Hindu guru. And he tricked the guru to accept him. That was another story. So he was a very precocious child, and he's a great saint. I'll do a presentation on him one day that then I can share with you. And he was a weaver. His father was a weaver, so he had learned weaving. And those sticks on the right over there is part of his loom. So this room had all the things he had used, like a museum, but it was locked. So I took it through the grill. That photo is from the grill. Then just down the road from the Indian section headquarters is the center, Ramakrishna Mission ashram there. Now, Varanasi is such a holy place that people of all traditions have a center over there. So I found that right next door. So I went to visit that as well. And when I was there, one of my aunts said, "Hey, one of the Gurujis who were in Bangalore, which is where I come from, he is retired there. So they have a place for monks to retire in Varanasi." And I went to see him as well. Both my uncle and aunt knew him. One uncle on this side and auntie on this side of the family. So I went and said hello to him and gave him their regards. And I said, "Can I take a photo?" That's his photo. And then I've also went looking for this particular page that you see on the left. It is where Sharada Devi, who was the wife of Ramakrishna, lived in Vrindavan. After he had passed on, she went to visit Vrindavan, and she stayed there for, I think, 1 or 2 years. So I went looking for that place as well. Again, I went through all these small streets and everything. I could have easily, if someone had given me the right directions, I could have easily found it. If I had taken a rickshaw or a tuk-tuk on the main road. Anyway, I went round and round, avoiding the monkeys and all that. And in one place, the monkey came and grabbed hold of me. My God, that was another fright. After that, I was really scared of these monkeys. Until then, I was not too worried. But then it came and grabbed hold of my leg. Thankfully, there were people around. They chased it away. My God, that's another story for another day. Thankfully, it didn't bite me. That's the only danger with monkeys. If they bite you, it's quite poisonous. Not like a snake, but still it can harm us. So that's where Sharda Devi lived, and I went searching for that as well. Finally, I found it. And then where I was staying in Ma Anandamayi's ashram in Varanasi as well. So all these places were close by. I could walk to all these places. Then I was looking again. I was looking for Sharda Devi's thing online, and then this one came up, Swami Haridas, and I kept hearing his name. Whenever people talk about these centers, they mention this person's name. So I said, "Oh, this is nearby." So I went looking for it, and I went and attended their evening, whatever it was, and they were singing and singing and singing. I said, "When are they going to stop and see? I'll wait it out." They sang for 2 hours. So that was great. I went there on that day. And again, it was a special day in Vrindavan. So the roads were all crowded. So I said, okay, I'm not going to be able to see anything else. So I sat here and enjoyed the music. It was beautiful. And then I went to Neem Karoli Baba's ashram. That was also nearby. Some of you may have heard of him. It was great. That was another place I wanted to visit because that's where he moved on to other planes in this place,
So
in Vrindavan.
mentioned you have that connection with Wali Baba.
How?
All this stuff kept coming up.
Oh yes, he contacts me online. So I came to know of him online. Let's about him. Let's put it that way. Though I had read about him in a book, so I had registered for some meditation summit sometime, and I was in the other room, and then suddenly it came up because the page was open, and time difference and stuff, and that's how I found out about him, because that's how I found out about Krishna Das. Do you know the rock star of Kirtan? If any of you have heard of him, Blake would know him. So anyway, I went to his place. That was another beautiful spot to visit. And then this was another, much desired place. I wanted to visit the Indian section headquarters, because Annie Besant had lived there. And she's the one who bought the property and established the Indian section headquarters. So I was very interested. So the Shanti Kunj is where she used to live, the bottom right photo, where there are two people wearing green color. That's one is me and one is Puttama. And then there's Annie Besant. She's one of my, I admire her a lot as well. She's one of my heroes. So I wanted to visit that place, and I stayed there for 12 days. And I attended a study camp in Hindi. And it was amazing. Studying Theosophy in an Indian language is completely different, because, you can speak in all the levels. Here in English, it's only one word for all the levels. But in Indian language, there are different words, and you understand with such greater depth. It was amazing. There we are, all of us students. And the hall was so hot, but we managed. It was great. And that's Annie Besant Hall. And that's in front of it. And then there's a library as well. I felt I stepped into another time period when I went into this library. Varanasi. Yeah. So I'll talk about all this next week, because we are celebrating Annie Besant's birthday, and I'll share with you more about her work in India. But I thought I'll show you a little bit of this, because this is part of my pilgrimage. And all this in dedication to those unknown members of the Theosophical Society throughout the world, whose silent loyalty and sacrifice ensures to it the Master's constant blessing. So that's my presentation. And I have only one last thing to add. I know we all are always saying study, meditation, service. That's what we encourage in the Theosophical Society. I'd like to add devotion to it. So now you have 4 legs instead of 3. So that's what I understood. You can't do study, meditation, service if you're not devoted as well. So if you studied Yoga Sutras in the last, self-transformation course that Simon took, in one of the yamas and niyamas, there is Ishvara Pranidhana. And I think that's what we need to pay attention to as well. Ishwar Pranidhana is to keep in mind God behind all this, whatever practice you're doing, all in offer to the highest. So I think that is the conclusion and that I came to in my life after this trip of mine and pilgrimage. And I finished on time. Imagine condensing 40 days in 1 hour. You should get an award.
I just want, like, what Susha's got here is a little shrine at the international headquarters in Adyar, and it is, you know, dedicated to all of you who are not up front, because a lot of people are always up front, but there is far more in the back making it all happen. So that's what it's for.
Yes, that's another thing I learned. Without support, you cannot do anything in life. You know, that walk, my friends who are here online, some of them, without them, I couldn't have done it. There were days where, you know, I had a stomach upset and couldn't walk. And then after walking like 10 kilometers, our feet would hurt so much. We would help each other, pull each other, you know, when one of them was getting tired. And then we would rest together. You know, like I said, 80 to 25, we were all of different ages and abilities. Yeah, we couldn't have done the walk without a group of people. And the dindi as well. But that's on your computer. They can't see mine.
Okay. Okay, so we'll have some questions and everything now.
Yeah.
Comments, thoughts, hang on, where are we? Okay. All right, Chris, go.
Darling Sushma, I just want to say thank you. Absolute joy to have you share your journey with us. Spellbinding it has been to listen to you.
Thank you.
Look forward to next week and then when we meet again to hear more details. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Hey, Sushma, just a question. You know how you're showing a lot of those temples? I just kind of wondered, I know you mentioned a couple are really old from the 15th century and perhaps even earlier, but they do seem to me to be like a lot are built around the same time, just looking at this style. Can you sort of say how old do you think they are? Like, was there a huge building thing that happened 100 years ago? If you understand what I mean?
Yes. Well, if you look at North India, quite a few were destroyed in the 11th century onwards. So these are the surviving ones. So it's after 1,000 years that we have been able to build a temple of the magnitude of the current Rama temple in Ayodhya. Otherwise, it was there all over the place. There are more temples in South India that have survived. They were all temples from probably 6th century onwards. They used to build in rocks before, and then they started building freestanding temples. I didn't show you all the pictures of Jain temples and mosques and you know, Sikh gurudwaras that I saw all along the way. I saw plenty.
Thank you.
I only used the key ones for this presentation.
Yes, thanks.
I'll just take a couple of comments in the chat. Oh yeah, so Saraswati is the invisible river, Ganesh, that you were referring to before. Sushma.
Yes, but what is Ganesh?
Oh, the Ganga and the Yamuna.
Ganga, okay, and Saraswati is the invisible one. It's invisible because I think it's finished.
and thanks from Lara May, Valentina Robert, and Jaya Lakshmi. Yeah.
And Varsha Didi is here. Hello, Varsha Didi. She was on our Wari as well. She's tuning in from Pune, I think. Yes. The other two have disappeared. Hello.
हेलो मैं लेट हो गई लाइट नहीं था हाँ
कोई बात नहीं. Thank you. So yeah, by the way, folks, I didn't know the language of the people with whom I went. So there were lots of people who were, like Varsha Didi who could speak in Hindi. So they all helped me. Thank you.
बहुत अच्छा लगा आपका प्रेजेंटेशन बहुत अच्छा हो गया
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, so that was, she's saying I did a good presentation. Thank you. That's great.
बहुत मिस करती हूँ आपको सुषमा दीदी
Yes.
We'll show everyone in the lodge.
यहाँ कौन है देखिए.
Yes, yes.
Wave everybody to people online.
This is our lodge. It's 106 years old.
Nice.
Sushma,
Yes. Hi, Vimal. Do you have a question?
yeah, I'm curious to know how you prepared your physical body to take on this terrible journey and all the hardships, because I saw many pictures where you're lying on hard floors.
Yes.
How did
I would
you
sleep
how did
anywhere.
She can't sleep anywhere.
Yes, I can sleep anywhere. I lie down any place I find. So, yeah, no, I started training since from April 1st onwards. My walk started 30th of June. So I started, walking around here in Wellington. First of all, I did that. I used to walk at least 6 kilometers whenever I can, but I had to walk 20. That's a different story. But what's interesting is, that I was in a totally different state throughout that journey. I was in a peak state. My mother thought after the 250 kilometers, I'll be gone. Then I used to share on a WhatsApp group where I was. So I shared a photo of me on the train. She said, okay, she will survive. I was smiling. So yeah, no, that's what I had to do. Yeah, and what is interesting is, you never got tired that much. You recovered by next day.
that
Yeah.
would be interesting for you to go into, and that energy that you got, what is the nature of that energy? What was it like? Okay, firstly was the fact that you achieved it, and then there something else, that there was some other flavors in each place which sort of give you that extra energy or something like that?
No, nothing like that. I don't know. I cannot explain it. You saw how they were all singing, and they had the singing and the rhythm. So if you have the people going beside you doing that, it's you just walk along, and then I had to take care of myself, make sure I had enough water to drink, and make sure I ate properly, and yeah, I had to make sure of all those things, and we rested as well on the way. Oh, and some places we had to sit, there were only stones, and we had one plastic sheet to sit on and lie down, and we found a smooth place once under a like a small resting place, and it was smooth and everything. We were both lying down, Purnima and I, and then suddenly they came and said, please get up, we have to serve food. So they chased us away. So they had to serve food for one big group that came along. So yeah, no, it was hard to find a place to rest when we needed it. It was so crowded everywhere.
So could you buy food anywhere, kind of?
Oh yes.
So you'd be responsible for feeding yourself along?
No, we used to take a packed lunch every day.
Oh, okay.
Our group provided food.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but on the way we used to buy fruits and things like that. Like watermelon, and I used to put a lemon inside my water bottle.
Yeah.
Then that kept the alkaline water going. Well, I learned the hard way to take care of your water intake. Yeah, now I can do anything. And I will not listen to excuses. If anyone says, oh, I can't do something, I said, get on with it. Excuses. I was worse before, I'm even worse now. Yeah, no, it was amazing. I hope you all felt like you came with me.
Yes, yes.
1 hour power walk.
And the WhatsApp group, every, ping, ping, ping.
Yeah, and also guess what? I was staying, this was the first time I stayed by myself in a hotel or some place else. I've never gone by myself anywhere. If I traveled, I always went to somebody I knew, like a friend's place or something. This was the first time I had to stay in railway stations, and I only stayed in one hotel where that Pushkar was there. I didn't stay in hotels, I stayed in ashrams. So that was okay. But where I had to stay in the railway station, one day I was in the station and I hear this rat in the wall. And then once the rat ran from the entrance to the from the cupboard to the entrance, I'm like, oh my god, it's a big rat. How to sleep. So things like that, you know, it was a bit tough in some places. And then in the railway stations, you have to carry the bag and up and down the stairs. Not all places there were escalators, and so you had to carry as little as possible. So yeah, that's why, sorry guys, I couldn't buy any gifts for anybody. I only bought a card for Simon, which had mini cards inside.
Okay, all good?
Any other questions?
I have a thought that was sparked by something you said towards the end. And we're so busy hearing about the three legs of the stool, the study, the meditation on the surface. You can't sit on them. It's just sitting on top of it.
Yes.
And that's your devotion. The seat of the stool.
Oh, very nice too. So the seat of the stool of spiritual life is devotion. The legs
Excellent.
are study, meditation, and service. This is our new message from Wellington Lodge.
Very good.
Well done. That's beautiful insight.
And that's a great insight to,
Close, yeah.
yeah. So I will stop our recording and close this evening's session.